People around here, when you think of a farmer, it's of the children's fable, old MacDonald had a farm and had, chickens and pigs and cows. That's not the way farming is anymore. It's strictly a business, and if you have to adapt and change, and biotechnology is going to play a huge role into the future in my ability to stay here and make a living.
I believe in this technology because I have studied it in thousands of papers and I have not seen a single really permanent negative impact.
Science is a positive thing, it's a plus factor, not a negative scare factor. You're standing on an ex-GM site. Where are these super weeds that we were told we couldn't control? It's a nonsense. And so a lot of the things that were there as scares, I think we've been able to get physical evidence that it's all wrong.
So we can't just harshly and violently oppose this technology when we know that it can work for our farmers. Because the people who are opposed to these technologies are not the farmers themselves. They are people who can afford food.
Every minute that we sit here, 10 preschool children will die from hunger and malnutrition. If you add that up on an annual basis, it's about 6 million preschool kids who die unnecessarily. That's not reversible. So we have to compare the benefits with the risks. And even if there were some risks, and we haven't found any yet, they would have to be compared to the benefits.
Look at American experience on this. 280 million people eating genetically modified crops, and there's no evidence of any harm to health.
And now you've got companies that are putting foreign genes into animals and fish that are changing the crops of the world fundamentally at the genetic level and polluting the planet with this genetic pollution. And once again, only a few scientists, corporations, and government regulators are making the decision. There's no democratic decision-making. These technologies are legislation. They're going to affect our lives more than any law passed by any legislature.
Monsanto began developing genetic technology for plants. It made useful plants, such as canola and soya, resistant to the company's own pesticide, Roundup. Roundup kills every plant, without exception. Only the organically modified canola survives. In this way, Monsanto sells the farmers not only the patented seeds, but also the chemicals to match. However, there are also farmers who have had dealings with Monsanto against their own will. Probably the most famous one is Percy Schmeiser from Canada.
There was one other reason, too, that we stood up to Monsanto, was the fact that they had destroyed what my wife and I had developed over 50 years of research and development. Canola seeds that were resistant to various diseases we had on the prairies. They destroyed what we developed. And I'm sure that if I would do that Monsanto, I would be thrown in jail. But they can come on to a farmer or contaminate a farmer's field and destroy what he has worked on and get a lawsuit on top of it.
Here is the plant that blew across.
The seeds,
with
the plant, okay.
The plant is all shelled out. You see there's no pods left on that plant, but look at the crop that is growing here. This is a crop that was not seeded. It blew in. It blew in here in September, as Martin explained, and now it's germinated. It is a full-blown, healthy GMO canola plant growing on organic land.
Every time that you buy conventional vegetables, you and I am responsible for the pesticides being used, the incredible cruelty to these animals, the destruction of our forests and wildlife, and 70% of our endangered species are created through farming and ranching in the United States. We're complicit in those moral crimes, whether we know it or not. So it's not just an environmental crisis, it's a moral crisis. And we're never going to solve that by being mere consumers. We have to say, no, we are creating either the solution or the problem.